What the fuck episode are we on? I don't know, but
Doesn't
we're
matter.
beginning now.
Let's go.
Post election time. Here we are. Just launch right into it.
No
Thoughts?
politics tonight, guys. No. I think we both know where we stand on this. So
Actually, I don't know.
no. Well, I don't know. My world. I was surprised by what happened. I'm a lefty socialist, so I'm pretty upset. Upset about what's going to happen to women's rights in this country.
Sure.
And the economy and all that. But it surprised me more than anything, and it told me that I was in a bubble, on TikTok, my echo chamber of like positivity towards,
Right.
Democrats winning and being like, oh, we got this in the bag, boy. We got this. Come on, let's got it. And then the stark reality of like, oh, not
We
Tim
do
Walz.
not have this in the bag. The bag is currently still in the grocery store. And there is no bag, actually.
The bag is in the parking lot,
Yeah.
being, strewn about.
It's flying in the wind.
Yeah, so it was a bummer. I'm pretty depressed about it, to be honest. That's that. So
I'm pretty indifferent. I'm kind of like, I'm just coasting on the fact that I never really gave a shit to begin with.
yeah.
And I typically I'm in it for the memes more than anything.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty shallow point to take, but I feel like at the end of the day, we're all probably gonna be okay.
Yeah.
We'll see, though. We'll see.
I'm optimistic that hopefully nothing gets done and
It's
nothing bad happens.
We live in a political gridlock. It seems like nothing ever really gets done except for people yelling at each other. But we'll see.
I honestly, we've been ever since we went to the UK, we're like, damn, if something bad happens, if something was to happen in the next 4 years that was so bad that we're we have to go somewhere, we're going to the UK 100%. And I'm not just oh, we're going to move to Canada if Trump wins. No, if the Handmaid's Tale occurs,
Right.
we're out,
Sure.
we have an escape plan. So, and honestly, the UK, it's their first time having a left-leaning party in 40 fucking years or something right now. They finally elected the Labour Party. So I'm like, dude, they're hitting on all cylinders. Okay, the UK, they got it figured out. All right.
I've never seen a cylinder this big.
I've never seen a...
My plan has always been to leave the States before any of this even happened. This is not even coming from a political stance. I just want to go somewhere else because it would be cool.
Yeah.
For the lore.
Yeah.
But now we live in an interesting climate where it seems as if there's a lot of doomsday talk, but quite frankly, I don't think there's going to be any doomsday, but we'll see.
I hope it's just a bumblefuck like the first time, where literally nothing just got done other than him electing awful Supreme Court picks and ruining, our lives in terms of that forever.
Right.
But hopefully that's all that happens,
I'm not educated. Is Alex Jones really going to be the press secretary?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I saw that and I was like, "Yo!"
I'm pretty sure
that to me was the biggest whoa.
So I'm pissed that likely RFK is going to be somewhere because I hate his he's very into making food better in this country, which I agree with.
Okay, I thought you were going to say that's why I hate him.
So I
was
agree.
Yo, what?
I agree with making food better in this country because being when I was in the UK, everything was great. It was ideal.
You're damn, I don't feel shitty after having food.
Yeah. But RFK is one of these you need to put what is it? He's really into raw milk, which is horrific for you. Humans should not be drinking raw milk, and he's one of these he's so in the weeds that he thinks that things like raw milk are the solution, or getting rid of GMOs. GMOs are fantastic.
GMOs are, I wouldn't say they're fantastic, but I think I only say that because I don't like the idea of plant species being homogenized by a scientific lab creation. But
yeah,
my
only thing would be corporations getting hold of genetic things within the seeds and all that.
But what
but
about
also
the corn,
it's too
corn?
far. It's too far gone. I don't care anymore.
You don't even care anymore.
I don't care that Monsanto has monopolized it because what am I going to do?
Right. Well, he's probably taking the stance of we need to fight back on that, and you're saying whatever, it's already happening.
Yeah, and I'm also if I didn't want fucking Red 40 in my Doritos, I wouldn't eat Doritos.
Well, but
I don't really
here's
care.
the thing though. For the same reason that you're I love the UK. I mean, they don't got Red 40. and their shit.
This is true.
So
yeah,
I mean, maybe
I
you
just
like
don't
a
think
little
he's
bit
the
of that.
expert. I think someone else could figure it out.
Well, I certainly don't think he's the expert, but at least his heart's in the right place.
Yeah, his heart, as long as it survives, because he's clearly
Right.
on testosterone.
Oh my God! Yeah, have you seen him? He's kind of jacked. No,
He is jacked. Yeah. How old is he? Like
he's got to be
75?
72, 75. Yeah.
Bro, he is top 0.1%.
The weirdest thing to me is that he's bagged, not Seinfeld. What's his name? Larry David's fictional wife from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I know.
Did you know that?
She's just a weird skinny blonde lady.
She's kind of, she has that weird like scarecrowish quality to her.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Where like
that.
when like a blonde white woman reaches a certain age and
Yeah.
her teeth sort of become the prominent feature.
her teeth kind of form into this like a permanent smile.
Right. Well, it's
You know?
not the smile. It's just like this prominence. It's
Yeah.
kind of like when there's a person with a really big forehead, you call them a five head.
Yeah.
She should be called teeth head
Yeah.
because it's like, whoa, there it is.
White people age like fucking milk. Like
Raw milk.
Especially exactly.
there you go.
Especially when they're like they're really skinny like that. Like you gotta have some meat on your bones after 60, or else you're gonna start looking like a freak. You
The
know?
weirdest thing to me was that both RFK and her were on Tim Dillon's podcast
Yeah.
a year and a half ago. And then I was like, this is crazy. They've got RFK. And fast forward to, 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
Trump is on Theo Vaughn's podcast.
Yeah.
And Theo's like, man, this one time I injected methamphetamine into the armpit of an armadillo. And then Trump is like, that's very crazy.
Yeah, I used to boof beer.
And then it's like, and on one hand, you're like, why is this happening? And then on the other hand, it's like, well, this is what the American people care about.
Yeah.
Boofing.
Yeah. And he was on Rogan, and JD Vance was on Rogan, and it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
You know? I think obviously that didn't like put him over the edge of winning the election.
I think it helped.
It couldn't have hurt.
I think it helped.
And I thought from my what I gleaned from the clips I saw of Rogan and Trump, I was like, oh, Trump's sounding like an idiot. Like, and Joe is actually calling him out and being like, I'm not getting your weave here.
Right. He's like, I don't know how
And
I
then
don't know how I can put that comment you just made in an armbar.
Yeah.
Have you heard of chimpanzees doing DMT?
He's like, how do you feel about gorillas?
Yeah. No, Trump. The American people need to know. Did you actually listen to that? Because I did not. I tried.
I saw 100 clips on TikTok of
I didn't see any clips. I tried to listen to the whole thing. I got 5 minutes in, and Trump was like, "Yeah, I was shot. Yeah, it was very close."
Yeah. Well,
and I was like,
it was
"Yeah, okay."
How he got shot or whatever.
Which is, I mean, you have to address that. It is a significant point, but at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like,
I feel like we just don't get enough of an answer on that one. And not that I really care, but I'm like, I kind of do want to know, like, I want to see, like, the doctor's photo of it,
Right.
Like, I saw JFK's fucking brains on the limousine or whatever. Like, I'd like to see, like, a piece of an ear.
I'm sure it'll come out in due
Not
time.
that I really give a fuck, because
I really give a
hate
fuck
him so
either.
much. And I wish the bullet had gone a little,
Okay, so
differently.
you have the Kyle Gass standpoint. You're like, I don't miss.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, man.
Although maybe JD Vance had won, and I'm even more afraid of that because he's an actual monster. Like, he's an actual misogynist, racist, like, Christian nationalist. Like,
Damn.
That's what I'm more afraid of as Christians than anything. Like,
I don't know. My whole thing. I started with this stance, and I'll kind of stick with it. I don't think too much is going to be done.
Yeah.
Maybe I just sort of doubt the powers that be. But like, I think the biggest concern for people nowadays is like women's rights, obviously.
yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm like, is anything going to happen?
Yeah. Hopefully not. Hopefully it
is
stays the
anything
way it
gonna
is,
happen?
or it gets better. Obviously, like always. But, Well,
Have you seen those videos that the White House has been putting out since he got elected, where Trump is like, I'm going to put the death penalty on the drug traffickers.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit. I mean, damn. He's like, I'm going to use the whole might of the military to, it's like,
he's like, cops should get a day, like the purge. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know what to believe when he talks.
Right.
Because it's so, like, crazy all the time.
right.
Like,
And then
it's
on the
always
other
ridiculous.
hand, though, like, I get a little grossed out when you have like Jimmy Kimmel, like crying in front of a live studio
Jimmy Kimmel
audience.
fucking crocodile tears at every opportunity.
I fucking hate that. And I think that's largely why Trump won, is because people are so annoyed with this like performance shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate to be like I don't believe that like the mainstream media is whatever, but like
You don't think it's state sponsored?
well, yeah, and if it is, who gives a fuck? Just don't watch it. But
That's a good point.
Also, Jimmy Kimmel.
But you're telling old people not to look at politics. Good luck with that.
They need a fucking hobby in this country. People in other countries that are old do things. They like
Right.
go to the market in the morning and then they
a big part of it is they walk.
or
Our
they-
infrastructure is built around cars.
Yeah, you got a bunch of agoraphobes in this
Yeah.
country that are like stuck
Afraid of
inside.
leaving the house, yeah.
Or like they're like patrolling their property, like
And that's not
fucking
even an
Border
American
Patrol.
issue, really. Like that is a global issue. Is people that are just like afraid to leave their house. It is agoraphobia.
Yeah. Into lighter topics, I've got a couple here. This is a Rogan level topic. If you could be a different primate, what one would you be?
I don't know what constitutes primate. Is that one of the big motherfucking
I'll give you
monkeys? Because like I'd want to be one of those, the Japanese monkeys where they
The
built
macaques.
the macaques or the macaques where
Yeah,
they
yeah.
built the little swimming pools for them, bro.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
where
not
I'd
counting
be.
them because they're like monkeys. I'm talking great apes.
Man,
I'm
I
talking,
wanna be a monkey.
I'm
I don't wanna
talking.
be-
Okay, fine.
Apes suck.
Apes suck. We're
Apes-
apes, bro.
Yeah, but we suck too.
I mean, we're pretty cool. We got opposable thumbs.
Yeah,
we got
we can like
we got cars.
Yeah, I mean, I
planes,
get that.
trains, and
I
automobiles.
get that, but like, there's a steep difference between, opposable thumbs and ingenuity, and just sitting in a forest picking your ass.
Yeah, we don't have to pick our ass in nature anymore. If it rains, we go
Right.
inside.
Yeah, but
We're
if
not in
I'm-
the
if
trees
I'm-
like
I'd
freaking
rather-
out.
I'd
There's
rather-
a jaguar down there.
I'd
We're-
rather
you
be.
know.
I'd rather be out at the pools.
Yeah, they built those like those are hot springs and like those are the Nordic monkeys.
If anything,
basically.
I just proved the point of human ingenuity because like the Japanese were
Useless.
like, give these poor little monkeys.
I bet those monkeys were doing that time immemorium. I bet those hot springs were always kind of there, and the monkeys were like, "Yeah, bro."
they're
but
like,
that's
thanks, you restored our habitat.
yeah,
Yeah.
I bet that is the 1% of the 1% of monkey like
Right.
quality of life in the world. Like, I bet those ones are like the best.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the monkeys, other than like bonobos that are just fucking all day or whatever, the rest are dog shit. Like, I bet being an ape of any sort is like.
Give me the main primates.
All right, so I always go with the orangutan. Okay.
The big orange motherfuckers.
Yeah, they're semi-arboreal. Okay, I think they're probably the smartest, actually, of all the big ones. Like gorillas. Gorillas seem dumb as
Because
fuck.
that's what I thought when I saw a video of an orangutan picking their ass. It's like, oh, they're the smartest one.
I don't know. I feel like all this dumb cognitive like tests they give apes, they're like, oh, for whatever fucking reason, the orangutan.
And they always have to like give it the pretense of it being like a scientific breakthrough. They're like, look, he put the shit in the other monkey's ass.
He memorized 500 words.
He put the triangle block in the triangle hole.
Yeah. I think the orangutan.
This changes everything.
Yeah.
It's like, not really.
I love. So I got really, really into the book Congo, where they like teach a orangutan or a gorilla.
You're just on a monkey fucking.
I know.
like,
Whoa,
train.
I don't-
What is going on, man?
So I got really into gorillas and how people kept trying to teach them sign language, like
Right.
for fucking 50 years straight. They're like, all right, we got another baby gorilla. Teach it sign language.
Right.
And like
put it in
they'd
captivity.
be like nipple, nipple, and they're like,
Right.
don't fucking say nipple. They'd be like on national TV. It'd be like CNN's like, hey, and we have the scientists here doing the gorilla study. The fucking gorilla is like pinching the reporter's nipple, and they're like, stop, cut it out.
Yeah.
Fuck, you never do this.
You're
and they're
supposed
like,
to talk about politics.
Amy nipple, and
Yeah.
they're like, stop.
Yeah.
You fucking perv.
Yeah.
It kept happening over and over. And so basically they like cut all those programs. They're like, one, they weren't really learning. They were just
Sure.
monkey see, monkey doing everything.
Right.
And two, they're weird anytime you get a camera in front of them.
At the end of the day, we're no different than the monkeys. The thing is, we like to use flowery language
Yeah.
and have jobs.
Yeah.
And, and that's really all that separates us from the
mastered
monkeys.
tools.
We masturbate. Well, they do too.
Yeah, they do a lot.
They actually
like that
probably
kind of
more than
becomes their
us.
thing.
That is,
you
kind
know?
of yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think the biggest thing is that we pretend we don't have those animalistic desires, and they're just kind of outwardly like, oh, the journalist is here. Let's
They don't need
see if we
email. They just like to
right.
get down.
They
in
don't
the
need a
forest.
CV or a resume
Yeah.
or a college degree. They just say nipple.
Yeah.
And if someone is attacking their child, they rip them in half.
Yeah.
And we're kind of like, yeah, but I went to grad school.
Yeah.
And
right.
it's like,
You're like, who fucking cares?
Who,
It doesn't
at the
matter.
end of the day, we're all thinking, who cares? But,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. It's kind of like the whole, like, I spend my 8 to 5 every weekday at a job, and it's like fucking dumb and I'm numbing or whatever. And then I'm like, what are we here for? Like, you know, you get the existential crisis at 3 p.m. Like, why am I here? I could just go home. I have free will. I could burn this place down. I'm not going to do that. But like, you know, I could literally take a shit and throw it into my boss's office and be like, and then, you know, that's what I want to do.
For the lore.
For the lore,
it
Yeah.
would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, you know,
David
skip town.
Attenborough comes in and he's like, wow. The Alston Primer.
He's done it again.
He's embraced free will.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you a story. Quick
Tell me.
story. So Max here, he used to work at Adidas.
Sure.
Okay. Adidas headquarters in Portland, Oregon. And, you know, they sell shoes, they sell all kinds of outerwear. I hope you'd be proud of me, because when I went to Scotland, I needed a pair of shoes. So I said to myself, what kind would I like? A pair of white shoes, you know? I had Adidas in the back of my mind because, you know, Vans are uncomfortable. I'm going to be
You
walking.
went to the shoe salesman and you're like, what would be a good pair of shoes to fling my feces at someone with?
In a different country, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I was at a shoe store.
They were like, what's your top 5 primate?
And I'm like, okay, so,
Yeah, so
lemur,
sit down.
mandrill, orangutan.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just like, sir, that's actually not what I asked you at all.
Yeah.
But so I went to a shoe store, and I'm very picky, you know, price and all that. I find a pair of Adidas for $23.
Yeah.
And it says size 10. And I'm like, well, I'm basically a size
I'm a
10.
10,
I'm
yeah.
whatever. I get up to the counter, and they're like, sir, you realize these are 2 different
You didn't try
sizes.
them on, motherfucker.
No, I did.
Okay, yeah.
And they were great. I'm wearing them right now. They're comfy. Okay.
Okay.
And the guy goes, they're 2 different sizes. One's a 9 and one's a 10. And I was like, well, one of my feet's bigger than the other. So, you know, that's just going to have to do. Because I was already committed, you know. They're on my
Well,
feet.
why would you double down? Just be like, give me the one. What?
No, it was like on clearance. It was like a whole sale thing. Like I found them in the back.
So
I
you
kinda
just settled. You were like, okay, I'll take the wonky
Yeah.
ass
No, it
pair.
ended up being great.
Okay.
I mean, I wear them every day now.
Why are your feet so fucked up?
I don't
They should
know.
Be, I mean, like, there's
I had-
literally like fractions of a centimeter should be the difference between your feet, not like you saying you have an inch difference.
I mean, something like that. Yeah, must be because they're comfy. I'm wearing them right this second. They feel fine.
You're wild. All right,
I mean-
continue with your clown foot story.
Then we go to the UK. We walk around, do 20,000 steps a day. Great, perfect. So I'm like, yeah, why not? I'm gonna do this. Thank God I only spent $23. You know, like it's a win-win-win-win-win.
So the takeaway is, thank God I only spent $23.
Thank God
on these shoes I could have easily had fixed. The customer
No,
service
there was no
like-
fixing it.
Okay.
That's the problem.
So it is actually best for you that your feet are completely different.
You know, I
in
had
size.
braces as a kid. When it came to my legs, I was a toe walker.
Oh, you did
on
the
my tippy
pigeon
toes.
thing.
Yeah, I walked on my tippy toes. So they put braces on my legs when I was 4 or 5 to like make it stop. You know,
Just imagining Professor X, wheeling into the room and he's like, he's a genius.
no.
And you're just like, what's your top 5 monkey?
Do you like orangutan? And it's tan, not
Yeah.
tang. Tang is the juice.
Yeah, right.
You know,
And he's
Monkeys have tails. Apes do not.
he's
know.
brilliant.
he knows so many ape facts. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did spend a lot of time at the zoo as a kid, so there's that. You know, I don't know. I don't think I'm autistic, but I was fucking autistic about animals growing up. Like, I
That's
wanted to
just
be a
passion.
zookeeper.
That's just
I was
passion.
passionate as fuck.
That's actually one of the things that I hate most about like new style of parenting is being like too welcoming of disorders and disabilities. They're like, oh, my son has autism. He likes Legos. It's like, bitch, he likes Legos.
yeah.
Fill him full of Ritalin. Put him in the special class. It's like,
Yeah,
no,
I don't know.
no,
I feel
no,
like
no.
I feel like well,
Just because his foot is 1 inch shorter than the other doesn't mean it doesn't excuse the behavior of throwing the feces.
so a big indicator of childhood autism is the toe walking
Making
thing.
a tier list for orangutans.
Shut the fuck up. But like the toe walking thing was like a big indicator, and they're like, so we like my mom was telling me this like not that long ago. She's like, yeah, we got you tested for autism, and
I'm sorry, your son has dumb foot fuckinitis.
they're like, yeah, you're just really into dinosaurs and fucking you just walked weird. Like that was it. I'm like, I don't have autism, and she's like, no, not at all. I'm like, she's like, yeah, we thought.
Sorry, your son tests positive for plays with dinosaur toys too much.
Yeah, I was obsessed. Like absolutely, it's one of my core memories is just being infatuated with everything dinosaur.
I was obsessed with trains as a very small child.
See,
like a 4-year-old.
trains.
Like
trains
I would,
is a pathway to Sonic the Hedgehog. you know?
yes, gotta go fast. Yeah,
Yeah, in one direction.
Right.
Unidirectional. Speed is kind of an autistic thing. Apparently.
sure. I mean, you can't. I mean, think about the beauty of it, the simplicity. It's fast. It can't be stopped. It's carrying a heavy load.
Right.
You can't beat that.
Unless it's a passenger train. That's
Well,
not
we don't
very
need to
heavy.
get into specifics. I
It'd
mean,
be high speed rail like in
give me your
Japan.
tier list for trains.
Trains. Okay, you know what?
I think you got to go Asian
The mag lifts.
the
Yeah.
mags,
You
Those
gotta
are
go. You gotta go the
top.
high speed.
Yeah.
Japanese, Chinese.
Right, and they
you
have
know.
that like really interesting, like seductive curve on the front.
Yeah.
On the caboose. Woo.
Yeah.
That shit goes fast.
Both sides look the same. I don't know. Mount Fuji's in the distance. It's perfect. It's
Right.
literally made for that aesthetic. And then you got like steam locomotives. Okay, I can't deal with these fucking dumb looking Amtrak trains that look like they're all made in the 70s. They all look awful.
I think for a large part they mostly were. Right?
That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
like buildings made in the 70s. Like the World Trade Center. It looked like it was a dog shit building.
Right.
It was awful. I'm not the biggest modern architecture fan, but the World Trade Center, so much better. The Freedom Tower.
Can we talk about how weird it is
9/11?
that like those? Yeah, this. Well, actually, oddly similar to where I was going with this. People who live in sky rises, they're like, and I remember the first time I felt the building sway when the
Yeah.
wind came. It's like, what's that feel like? And then
Yeah.
also, shut up about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they're always like the building moves. It's like yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of things do in this life.
Mm-hmm. You're high up. You're 60 floors
It's
up.
a
like,
big.
no shit.
You're in a big building, Bucko.
Yeah. I bet you grew up with a wine room.
I think that probably did happen for most people that live in a skyrise. They probably did have a
That's
wine
what I'm
room.
saying. I've only ever, I guess I was on the second or third floor of the apartment I lived in. I've never been higher than that. Like
That ain't no sky rise, I can tell you that right now, yeah.
Yeah, that was a dog shit ass building.
Yeah.
Every time I drive by, I'm like, I wonder if it burned down.
Right.
Like morbidly, I'm just like, it seems like the type of building that would.
Is it better to live at the top of a skyrise and have a bunch of money, or have like a big plot of land and like animals?
Okay, to me, I'd rather have the high-rise skyscraper penthouse
Right.
vibe, but like being a dad,
Well,
you gotta go for like the land, honestly, because you want them to run around. You want like I think pets are good for kids. Thank God their dad has pets because we are not pet people. But like I'm glad that there's like cats and dogs and shit at his house so they can experience that. It's like
have you noticed how weird kids are with animals? They're like kind of cruel to them. Do you remember having that?
Yeah,
like,
they don't
friend,
understand.
That friend in the friend group as a child, where they'd be like, "Watch this," and they like throw their cat across
Bro,
the room, and you're
my-
like, "What?"
our friend John in college was one of those kids because I know he didn't grow up with cats. He threw my cat so far across the room one day. I was so upset. I was like, bro, I know cats are like basically invincible. Like when it comes
Doesn't
to
mean it
height
doesn't
and
torment
throwing.
them.
Yeah, but I was like, he does not want to be. He's like a 20-pound cat too. He did not want to be thrown in that
Yeah.
moment. Like he wasn't. He didn't wake up that day like, oh, fucking John's gonna come over and hook me.
Right.
Like
he didn't wake up one day and say, "Oh man, I'll be fine if I get thrown."
yeah, and he did it like kind of at me too, and like a big ass cat coming at you, its claws are gonna come out, and it was a whole thing. I was pissed, but
The proverbial here, bro.
yeah, it was people that didn't grow up with that certain type of pet, It's like people that didn't grow up with a dog
Right.
and they like act weird or like they're really afraid of dogs.
But the difference is that he was a grown man. And
yeah,
we're talking
he
about
should've
children.
known. Yeah. Most of my friends had animals, and if they didn't, they like just kind of ignored them. They just kind of like acted like it didn't exist. So I had a lot of cats growing up, so I had friends that come over and I don't know, I guess they just didn't really interact with them. Or
I think it's really important to, if you have kids or you help take care of children, whatever, to like teach them that other things have not feelings like humans do, but
feel
they
pain
they
and, like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they don't want to be
They don't want to be displaced across the room
yeah
with vigor.
yeah. My
And nature too. Nature is really important. Fucking iPad kids now are such a fucking thing.
Yeah,
It's
I don't know.
crazy.
My kids are very they're cool with nature. They don't fuck around, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think most of the kids I'm experiencing are fine. You know, they're not iPad kids for the most part, or like if they are, they're like not. I think some kids are just born weird or dumb or like not into.
Well, no, that's
I don't
absolutely
know.
true. I
don't
think
know.
there is a certain level of, you have to remember at the end of the day, like, kids are people.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they are born with certain traits, like they, mental acuity, dexterity,
Yeah.
social intelligence, all of that does kind of come into play. And then environment as well is huge. It's the whole nature nurture thing.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, people are kind of born a certain way.
Yeah, as I raise kids, it's more and more clear like what is personality that was like already there, and then like what's made. You know, like the nurture
manufactured.
part.
Yeah, the nurture
and like
part.
some kids, like
You know what baffles me is the amount of people that it's not really like, I'm not going to get on a soapbox and say, oh, this new generation, because this has existed forever. But it seems now more than ever, people just don't want to work and they're expecting handouts.
yeah. I as a socialist, I think that we work too hard for too little, but we should still be like participating, having a civic duty towards, work, I guess. But the gains that we made through the 20th century in terms of productivity have not been realized wage-wise, right? Like, not just a Marxist thing, but just a socialist like philosophy in general is we're still working 8 hours a day for 40 hours a week, and we're producing 10 times what we were producing 100 years ago, but our wages have not kept up with that, right? So like you, a door-to-door salesman who's managing people, interviewing people, you're working 10-hour days, right? 12-hour days. You should be much more fairly compensated, I think,
I
than
am
what you
pretty
are.
fairly
I know you are. I know you are. But that's ridiculous. You should not have to devote you work 6 days a fucking week? That's absurd.
I work a mandatory 5 and I work extra to make more.
Right. And you're providing a service which should be a utility. Like, internet should be a utility even in the most capitalist society. It should be something that the government runs, keeps fast, keeps cheap, right? We have the ability to do it. Like, there's enough fucking satellites up there.
Yeah.
We can do it. Like, Elon tried, but he's a greedy fuck and he's going to make people pay for it in their Subarus or whatever. But my point is, our labor should go farther. And
Okay.
it's just that the greedy capitalist class has taken that from us.
I agree with you to a point. I don't want to live in a world where if I work harder, I get paid less.
Well,
or
I
the
mean,
same.
No. I think you should have
What
to
I-
work less and get paid the same or more.
I think that you should be I think we should have a merit-based society.
Yeah.
And that's why I typically lean a bit more capitalist and conservative, where, I'm not, we can respectfully disagree, but
Oh, yeah, we've
I
always
think we
been good
already,
at that.
Yeah. I'm always a bit more like, if you're going to put in the work, you should get a bit more.
Yeah.
I think that goes without saying. But I also, where I agree with you, is that we should have basic needs met by
Mm-hmm.
the government, and there's a misallocation of funds. So my biggest gripe with the Conservative Party in this country is that they don't take care of, the taxpayer
Yeah.
the way they should.
We're going to pay taxes no matter what.
We're gonna.
And-
And we should have health care.
Yeah.
And women should get an abortion if they want. That's
Yeah.
kind of where I sort of fall out of the mainstream conservative crowd.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I'm pretty happy with the status quo.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's like much merit going on when like someone like Elon per se, like he's the richest man on earth. I don't think he's outputting the richest man on earth amount of value into the economy, right? Like I don't value Tesla and SpaceX as much as a lot of people do, but also I get that he's done something unique, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's kind of normalized electric vehicles, and he's made space travel much cheaper, at least low Earth orbit space travel cheaper. Does that make you the richest guy on Earth? I think Jeff Bezos is much more deserving.
I don't want you to downplay the achievement that he has acquired. I mean,
I am downplaying it.
You are downplaying
I
it
don't
a bit.
I don't appreciate his achievement anymore because I think his car company sucks. And I think that SpaceX, you know, if we had properly funded NASA, it could be much better.
I think socialism would work a lot better if there was a better sense of global unity.
This is true.
The thing is you have to understand that socialism lies within context of nationality.
Yeah.
And we're one nation among many.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna, you know, absolutely. If a switch could be flicked and we could all, you know, have like inalienable, you know, things afforded to us, then absolutely.
Right.
But I think it in the global scheme of things, as it stands, it just doesn't really work.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think we should like, you know how like say Bangladeshi, Indian, and Indonesian labor is cheap and, you know, makes our
outsourcing
cheap plastic shit
correct
easy for us to obtain. Like we can go to Target and buy whatever fucking tchotchkes and knickknacks we want. I don't think we should be using that in terms of like the socialist utopia that I'm talking about. You know, like I think these lower labor costs are great for us, but at the same time, I don't believe that we need a lot of that crap. Not that we should be making it here. I do not believe in bringing industry back to the U.S. Manufacturing jobs are the most dangerous, the most polluting, and the lowest paid that there is.
So you're in favor of
I'm in favor of outsourcing.
Really? Okay.
Because if I'm gonna be an American, I don't want a fucking job making textiles.
Why not marry the best of both worlds? Why have a mutually exclusive? Why not have a safe working class in the United States that benefits them?
A unionized working class.
Right.
That's the ideal.
Yeah. So
that
I mean,
owns the means of their labor for the most part, you know.
Well, I'm still in favor of privatization. I think that really what you want to do is you want to have a private company that values its workers. It's kind of like having a benevolent dictator. You want to have
I want a law.
leadership.
I want a law that says you have to pay people fairly, you have to give them this amount of PTO, and you have to abide by these environmental regulations. Is that so hard? Is that a big ask? That's not even socialism. That's just a developed society.
No, I think we kind of have that already, though.
Yeah, just not enough.
Yeah.
I think we haven't gone far enough, especially compared to other, like, especially Western European countries.
Right.
You know, it could be so much safer and
Well,
less
really,
polluting and, you know.
I mean, on that note, I think your concern, you know, this was kind of one reason that I liked Andrew Yang and I liked Bernie
That's
Sanders.
what I'm saying.
Andrew Yang kind of focused on like the
Universal basic income.
Yeah, he totally pioneered that, and I really liked that. And then also Bernie Sanders, who was completely excommunicated by the Liberal Party, was advocating for a lot of the things you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that I have sort of steered farther and farther from the left is because they excommunicate anyone who's not.
Oh, I
part of
don't
the
consider the
establishment.
Democrats the left. The Democrats are a liberal progressive party, but they are not, like, people like AOC or Bernie or even Andrew Yang are much further to the European left than what the Democratic Party is. Democratic
People would
Party
consider
is
Andrew
center-left.
Yang centrist,
I don't
maybe
know
even
what
bordering right.
I don't even know what you'd consider him, because universal basic income is kind of a by the books like socialist program, like it's a social welfare program. But then he's like, well, yeah, but then you actually have to use like mathematicians to figure this shit out. Like we're not just gonna freeball it like Stalin did, where he just like, or like Stalin's a bad example because he didn't give people money. Venezuela gave people cash. They did not invest that money. Like Norway and Venezuela were basically two countries that were like the same. They both had oil money and they didn't know what to do with it. And Norway was like, let's just all put it in a giant wealth fund, make taxes pretty high, Everyone gets the basic shit. You know, everyone gets government everything. And it, you know, everyone's needs are met. Perfect society. And it's great. They have $1 trillion just saved up for when their oil runs out, which who knows if it ever will. Venezuela gave the citizens cash instead of investing it. And I mean, you see what happened. Like, and then they, you know, nationalized the oil industry so that all the crony government types could take it for themselves. So these like self-professed socialists are stealing the money from the people and then just giving them, you know, in the COVID, you know, like $1,200 here and there, you know, that kind of thing. And it fell apart. And now they're fucked.
I think that a big problem in the United States in particular is labor.
Yeah.
And if you don't have people working, what are you going to do? And if you don't want people to have, you know, sort of I don't know how you'd phrase it politically correctly, but, you know, sort of working class jobs that'll pay well, what are you going to do? And that's kind of where we're at now, is a lot of disenfranchised people that don't really know what to do. And so that's, I think,
it's ultimately going to keep getting worse too, because automation is going to make, like, say trucking becomes automated. It's not going to in the next 20 years, but someday it will. And that's like a gigantic working class sector that's going to fall apart. And like, you can't say like, oh, we'll learn to code, you know, because that'll be automated too. So
coding is actually getting even more. I mean, with exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
So how do you absorb that? And it's like, well, the United States is the most innovative country when it comes to products, inventions, everything. I think we'll be okay. Like, it's just like when I guess this is almost a capitalist thing where the, you know, horse and buggy industry died overnight because cars became a thing. Well, it's like, yeah. I'm not sad for the horse and buggy fucks. They had to figure it out. Like, they're gonna do something else. They're gonna keep going as long as they have a good social welfare system that keeps things even, that keeps the baseline of healthcare, food, water, shelter, electricity, internet, you know, all the basics covered. Then you can, you know, learn to code, or you could do something else when your industry dies.
But I think the biggest thing is all of that has to be motivated by some sense of purpose and also some sense of industry. And there's not really a lot of industry to go around.
I think there's plenty. We have such an abundance in this country of wealth. I firmly believe we have such an abundance. We could automate almost everything.
That's
and have universal basic.
Though, is you want things to be automated.
I want everything to be automated 100%. I don't think that humans should be doing.
I wholeheartedly disagree.
I don't think involuntarily that humans should have to work. I think that they should be able to express their artistic and passion visions rather than toil away under a capitalist.
I don't know. I think the reason,
and I know that sounds so far left that it's, you know.
Well, it is very far left, and it's also counterintuitive, because if you want people to be paid the same wage for everything they do, there has to be some kind of output.
I don't necessarily believe that.
Well, that is the core essence of socialism.
Maybe the more like, I think that's a communism thing, not a socialism thing. Socialism doesn't necessarily mean that everyone's paid the same. That might be like, I don't know what country has even done something like that, but, you know, basic needs met, then we go on a merit or an education basis. You know, make education actually matter. Like, if you have a PhD, you actually make more rather than you're sitting in academia.
I think it comes down to this. Do you think that people should be awarded more money for doing more?
Not necessarily. Because what are we here for? What are we here for? Like, we're on a rock in space going thousands of miles an hour. Why does someone fucking breaking rocks all day matter more than me opening envelopes? Why? Who fucking cares? We're all monkeys, you know, trying to get our banana.
Well, we all are trying to have our basic human needs met, and that's for sure. But yeah. I still wholeheartedly believe that if someone's working 6 days a week, as you mentioned that I do,
yeah,
and trying to, you know, be an employer rather than an employee, there should be some kind of compensation for that versus
Right.
someone who breaks rocks maybe 3 times
Well,
a week.
I think you should be paid more than CEOs of big corporations that do nothing all day. If you're working your ass, you're walking around 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and there's people doing jack shit and they're getting paid 150,000. It doesn't matter what they did in the past. It doesn't matter that they built some fucking company. Who gives a shit? You're not doing anything now. You're just sitting at a desk having meetings that should be emails.
I think that may be a little bit of, I'm not sure.
Maybe I'm
I think you might
projecting.
be downplaying what a CEO does because there's a lot more
Okay,
that
there's
goes into
plenty
it.
of middle managers that do literally nothing. I've met so many, anecdotally, obviously, just people that do literally nothing.
Okay, but you're kind of speaking to my point is that people who do more should get more.
In this capitalist system, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean-
I think handouts are problematic. But then again, on the other side of the coin, the CEO who just collects money, who didn't do anything, who inherited the company is also problematic.
Right. And I think we have enough wealth in this country. We could automate everything and not make it matter at all. We literally could do that overnight. Not overnight, but like there's so much wealth that just take our military budget. Just take $800 billion a year. Instead, just funnel that into automating everything.
Okay.
It would take so little
But-
to automate each sector that it'd just be like, okay, well,
But what are people going to do with everything?
I don't
that's
fucking
automated?
care what they do because we're all monkeys anyway. Just go fuck or I don't know, explore or do something. Just I don't care what they do. I know that humans, most of them, either will die because they have nothing to do. They'll work because they are propagandized into thinking work is value. It's like a puritanical thing, or they'll worship, or they'll do art, or they'll make music, or something.
This is sort of where philosophy meets
That's
economy.
that's kind of what
I think that if you devalue work so much as you are, you kind of open up Pandora's box to the point where it's kind of being like, just do whatever the fuck you want, and that's kind of where chaos ensues. But maybe we disagree on that point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of chaos. I'm not one to like George Bush introduced chaos into Iraq, and chaos has pervaded that country since we invaded, right? Like Saddam Hussein wasn't a good guy. He was evil. He caused chaos in that country, but it was a stable, secular state that did not deserve to be invaded and 2 million human beings murdered by the U.S. government. And in that, we made chaos with ISIS coming in later because we pulled out in a weird way where we were like sort of there, sort of not. We elected people that we liked, and then we were like, oh, so bye. Chaos is bad. I don't think that letting people do their passions and art would be necessarily a bad, chaotic thing.
Well, more on this later. This was a great conversation.
Indeed.
Episode something or other.
The political episode, the
It
politics.
was, but it was a wonderful conversation. And sometimes you have to put the dick and fart jokes aside to
Yeah.
reach sort of a new plateau of conversation.
Yeah, I think we're going to do another one right now.
I think so.
Where we just have stupid fucking topics like
I
usual.
think so. All right, episode something.